here's the latest message from Jesus, since Yeshua and I seem to be besties these days. So I'm going to read you a scripture, and then I'm going to say something after this about a couple things. Just listen. This is in the Bible, in the Gospels. The Gospels are the only place in the Bible where Jesus actually speaks. The whole rest of the Bible has none of Jesus in it. It's all hearsay. It's all, this is what he said. But in the Gospels, Matthew, Mark, Luke, and John, those books, from what we're being told, are the only books where Jesus actually directly speaks to the people. So John 10 is where I'm going to be. And I'm just going to read the very first parable that he gave us. Surely or truly I tell you, Pharisees, anyone who does not enter the sheep's pen by the gate, but climbs in by some other way, is a thief and a robber. The one who enters the gate is the shepherd of the sheep. The gatekeeper opens the gate for him, and the sheep listen to his voice. He calls his own sheep by name and leads them out. When he has brought out all his own, he goes on ahead of them, and his sheep follow him because they know his voice. But they will never follow a stranger. In fact, they will run away from him because they do not recognize the stranger's voice. Jesus, this is saying what Jesus did. Jesus used this figure of speech but as a teaching, but the Pharisees did not understand what he was telling them. So let's dissect this. This popped out for me because, if you didn't know, I'm an author of 3 books. My first book is called Leaf Lessons: When Trauma and Religion Collide, the process of spiritual healing or spiritual awakening and healing. You can find it on Amazon or on my website. In that book, I share about noticing back in around 2016, 2017, when I had my spiritual awakening, how humans were literally follow the sheep, follow the line. And in the book, I talk about how one day I was driving down this highway and was looking across to the other part of the highway, and this other part of the highway has 2 lanes, and one goes one direction, one goes the other direction. So you've got to be in one or the other when you get to the end of this, because the exits are going to take you 2 different directions. So I looked over right when I pulled onto the highway, and I saw at the beginning of this very long line, a car stalled on the side of the road with a flat tire. And then I saw probably 3 miles of cars behind that car that was stalled with a flat tire. And the whole other side of the lane had no cars in it except for the cars that were going to go the other direction. Now, I can understand why all those cars got in line, because they wanted to go the opposite direction. They didn't want to go the other way. But I could see from my vantage point that that stalled car wasn't stopping them from where they wanted to go. They had just followed the leader, because that car stopped, then another car stopped, then another car stopped, and then before you know it, a mile back, cars are stopping because they don't know what is ahead. So they just get in line and think this is the way. So I could see if they would just get over and go around this car, they had a wide open space to get right back over where they needed to go. They didn't need to be stopped there. But I understand, in their mind, they think there's an emergency. We don't know what's happening up there. We don't know what's going on. But had they known, they probably would have gotten out of the line. So how does this analogy, or let's just say mine's a parable as well. How does Jesus's parable and my parable relate? Jesus is talking about people being tricked and manipulated to fall in line. Someone sneaking into the sheep's pen and telling them, this is the way, follow me. And then the one that is their true guide, the one that can really help them, keeps them safe, watches over them, walks through the gate, and they can hear his voice and follow it. So when he says this to the Pharisees, he's actually telling the Pharisees, the religious leaders at that time, which would be the same thing right now, that you are leading the sheep astray. You are the stalled car, tricking everyone behind you that they have to stay in line. If you get out of line, then you might get hurt, you might get in trouble, or something's going to happen to you. And in this case, with religion, you're going to go to hell. Don't get out of line. Don't stop following what I teach you, because if you stop following what I teach you, then your whole life is going to be horrible. And then yet there's those of us that have deconstructed and left the church, and we have found freedom on the other side. Those of us that have done the actual deep healing work and actually dissected and deconstructed from those religious beliefs will not go back to that type of pen, because we know how limited and shameful and fearful and manipulative it truly is. So Jesus was saying to the church leaders of that time, which we could reflect even now, stop messing with the people. They will follow the right voice, but you are messing with them. And Jesus, was here to remind us not to follow their voice. Yet here all the religious leaders come in and let's take this Bible and let's add all this other stuff in it besides the Gospels. Let's add some laws. Let's add the New Testament in here. Because I do believe that in the Old Testaments are stories. These are not things to follow. However, in Daniel and Ezekiel, you can read, and even Isaiah, you can read about the new earth and how it's rebirthed. From an awakened stance, you can understand it even more. Religion will try to dissect it, and we're so far out from that time period now, 2,000 years ago, that the leaders we have now probably are reincarnated leaders from that time, but they're just following in line. If you've been playing telephone for 2,000 years to somebody that said something and then made it up and then it gets passed down, and you're still trying to teach the same thing, it's going to have all kinds of flaws in it. So what Jesus was trying to get us to do was stop following the crowd and to walk our own path of alignment with our inner truth, and to know that we have the power within ourselves and we don't have to give it away to something that tells us that we're not okay. Because we are. We were not born sinners. We are divine beings of light, and that is where we all return. But we can have that freedom here on earth as it is in heaven.